Hi there, so it's John and Liana here again. So we were
Hello.
talking about connection and following on some of our discussions. And then we got into another really interesting off-camera discussion around the difference between intimacy and connection, and that they're not the same thing. And I think and Liana was saying, and she'll tell you a lot more about this, that men can sometimes, or one side of a relationship can assume that, for example, if if they've had sex, if they've had physical touch, then that's the connection. That's what it means. But intimacy is not necessarily that. So what do you mean by intimacy?
I think intimacy for me is how I see it is more that you are close emotionally. You want to, you want to engage on a level more than a physical touch. If there are two people having love language physical touch, maybe that is the case, that when they sleep with each other everything is fine, but in my experience with my clients and in life, it can be that physical touch is good for one to reset themselves, but the other one needs that emotional connection in a way of how they treat it, how the other little things in a day are developed, how much attention they get, if all these other needs are met. And I don't agree that a partner uses withdrawal as a tool to challenge or manipulate the partner.
Yep.
But
what do you mean by withdrawal? That's the
withdrawal is like
as in sex is off the table.
Sex is off the
until
table
they get their way.
if you
kind
don't
of thing.
do what I want, or I don't feel connected. So that will not happen. That's on one side is great because they're looking after themselves to get what they want. But there is not much communication about that. What actually is needed to feel connected again.
So it's, I mean, and when sex is used like that, it's actually changing the meaning of sex in a way. It becomes a means to get something else rather than the being present and in the moment and with their partner. So that kind of withdrawal, as you say, or holding back as a control mechanism. Actually changes the meaning of the intimacy in the first place. So and then it can be difficult to get back from that. I think that's when you might need the external help to just explain to people what's going on here. How this is being used.
And this is as well that you could have this physical closeness without actually being intimate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is then just like a physical expression, but it actually doesn't have much to do with being in the same space, exploring the moment, being in the moment. Because there are loads of people out there, they're actually far away from being in a moment while sleeping with each other.
Yeah.
They're in their head, completely in their head, checking their performance, whatever. So they, there's so much.
Watching the clock.
It could be being bored, even being bored. And why are they bored? Because there is no real connection there.
Yeah.
And to look for having that connection, and sex is just one part of it. Is beautiful when you have that connection, but it is actually quite meaningless when you don't.
Yeah. So what we're saying is, it seems to me what we're saying is intimacy and sex aren't necessarily the same thing.
No.
And there's a lot more that goes in between as well.
Much more.
That it's life is more complicated than that. Okay, so if there was one kind of message you want out there for your clients, I wish my clients just knew this when they were a teenager, so they wouldn't have got into this problem in the first place. What would you say?
To listen to themselves. How they feel, to definitely be grounded, whatever they do, and to.
And so, what do you mean by grounded, Liana? Because a lot of people, I as an NLP practitioner and a coach and so on, I know what centering and grounding means. But what do you mean by it?
and just feel good about themselves, feel good in the moment themselves, and not reach out. It's like grounding for me. It's like standing on your own feet, being solid without anybody else. Yeah.
Yeah.
And often it happens when people in a relationship, they lean out so much. If you would see that as a picture, they would fall over. Yeah,
Right.
and to
Yep.
stay in that grounded space, in that solid space yourself, and let the relationship develop, because you don't have to do that much to have intimacy. You are yourself, the other person is themselves, and then connection happens when you share that moment. That's all what has to happen. You don't have to change. You don't have to guess what the other person wants. You don't have to do anything.
So coming from a place of knowing what you want and what's important to you,
Definitely,
you're more
yeah.
receptive to what the other person wants to.
Yeah, and to learn to say no when you're not ready, to learn to say no when it just doesn't feel right,
Yeah.
without feeling that you're a failure or that something wrong with you. That's just really looking after yourself. And if you go in your own space, and if you do what is right for you, you will get relationships they feel right for you. And then connection is just a thing that happens.
So learn to trust and listen to yourself.
Definitely, yeah.
That's a big message behind all of IntoU's work. I think is understand yourself and trust yourself that you know what the right thing is to do.
And we don't need to control that much. It happens naturally. We are naturally communicating any moment, anyway. But to really let that develop and not trying to force it faster than it's ready. It's like, making a cake. You wouldn't eat a half-baked cake. Yeah, you would wait until the time is done. And sometimes, we're rushing into it out of scarcity or out of the feeling that this person could disappear or something. If that person disappears, it most likely wasn't the right one in the first place.
Yeah, that's true. I think from that the whole intimacy sex question kind of thing, a lot of people can feel under pressure, to be more intimate, and that's male and female, by the way.
Both
I think
sides,
I think and more and more so. I think men are becoming, more kind of like, oh, I'm not really sure yet, and so know yourself, trust your gut, and I think, and then part of that coming from a secure place of knowing yourself, then you can really communicate what you want to your partner. So actually, if you're in a new relationship with someone and you say, actually, I'm not ready for that now, that they hear that clearly, and they know it's not about them. It's about feeling right and being in the right place, and just let it happen when it's ready. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. More from us. Bye for now.
Bye for now.